On Freedom, here's an overview of the top news stories of the day so far. This is our time. My name is Mikhail Baranov. Hello. If the Kremlin doesn't stop the war, Russian officials will have to learn where the nearest bomb shelters are. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said this in an interview with Axios show, noting that during his meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump, he asked him to provide Kyiv with a weapons system, the name of which he did not disclose. But according to Zelensky, this weapon would force Putin to come to the negotiating table.
If we get such long-range weapons from the United States of America, we will use them. First and foremost, they need to know where the bomb shelter is. If they don't stop the war, those bomb shelters will come in handy for them, one way or another.
The European Union will continue to support Ukraine with military and economic resources. This was stated by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who emphasized that Europe has already invested 175 billion euros in Ukraine's defense and economy. Fighters from the main directorate of Ukrainian intelligence destroyed 2 Russian Antonov 26 transport planes in temporarily occupied Crimea. The transport planes were parked at the airfield. The operation was carried out by the special unit Primary. Not only the aviation of the Russian occupiers came under their strike. According to the main intelligence directorate, during the raid on the Crimean Peninsula, Russian air defense assets were also destroyed, specifically 2 radar stations. Early this morning, the Russian army also lost the Su-34 aircraft. Ukrainian defense forces shot down the fighter bomber in the Zaporizhzhia direction. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, this aircraft was carrying out attacks on Zaporizhzhia using guided aerial bombs. It should also be noted that the cost of this fighter is about $50 million. Naval drones attacked the port of Tuapse in Russia's Krasnodar Krai. Eyewitnesses report powerful explosions. Air defense unsuccessfully tried to hit surface drones that attacked the oil loading pier. The drones also halted the operation of 2 major oil port terminals. The Russian Federation reported this to Bloomberg News Agency. These are key terminals near Novorossiysk. Together, they export more than 2 million barrels of oil per day from Russia to Kazakhstan. The Eurochem Belorechynsk fertilizer plant in Belorechynsk, Krasnodar Krai, Russia, suspended its operations after a nighttime drone attack. According to local social media groups, at least 8 explosions were heard in the city. Traffic has been blocked in the area around the plant. About 140 employees of the facility were evacuated. The fire covered an area of 50 square meters. Let me remind you, the Eurochem plant is one of the largest producers of mineral fertilizers in southern Russia. Russia lost another 940 soldiers in the war against Ukraine over the past day. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, this brings the total losses of the occupying army to over 1,105,000 people. In addition, Ukraine's defense forces destroyed 2 Russian armored vehicles, 38 artillery systems, 5 multiple rocket launchers, and 4 air defense systems yesterday. More than 400 Russian operational tactical drones were also shot down, and over 120 units of enemy vehicles and special equipment were burned. There were 160 combat engagements recorded on the front line over the past day. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the situation remains difficult in the Novopavlivka and Toretsk sectors of the front. There, 13 and 10 enemy attempts to break through Ukrainian defenses were thwarted, respectively. Russian occupiers attempted to storm the Lyman direction 25 times and the Pokrovsk direction 49 times. Meanwhile, the intensity of fighting has decreased on the Severosloboz-Hansky and Kursk bridgeheads. In addition, as military experts note, all of Russia's plans to create a so-called buffer zone in the Sumy region have completely failed. And even the enemy themselves admit this.
At this moment, the most capable units of the Russian occupation forces from the Kursk and Sumy directions are being redeployed to the Pokrovsk and Dnipro directions. And this is evidence that the occupiers clearly understand that there is no further prospect of advancing deeper. There is no Ukrainian territory in the Sumy region under their control. A similar situation is unfolding in the Kharkiv region, where the occupiers' plans to create a wide so-called buffer zone from Milov to Kupiansk and further to Vovchansk have completely failed.
Russia launched more than 170 drones over Ukrainian territory last night. About 100 of them were Shahids, according to the Ukrainian Air Force. The defenders of Ukraine's skies neutralized 150 drones in the north, south, east, and center of the country. The air attack was repelled by aviation, anti-aircraft missile troops, electronic warfare and drone units, as well as mobile fire groups of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. Russian occupiers attacked Mizin in the Chernihiv region with strike drones in the morning. 14 explosions were heard in the city. A critical infrastructure facility was damaged. About 30,000 subscribers were left without electricity and water. The fire that broke out was extinguished by rescuers. According to preliminary information, there were no casualties. Russia also attacked critical infrastructure in the Vinnytsia region. Energy facilities were hit. Part of the regional center was temporarily left without power, but electricity has already been restored to homes by now. According to preliminary reports, there were no casualties or injuries as a result of the Russian shelling.
As a result of the shelling in the Vinnytsia region, critical infrastructure facilities sustained significant damage. More than 300 residential consumers were disconnected from the power supply. Train service was also suspended. It has already been restored, as has the electricity supply. The fires have been extinguished. There have been no reports of casualties or damage to residential buildings.
The occupiers shelled the Korabelny district of Kherson with rocket artillery. According to the Regional Military Administration, Russian forces deliberately targeted a residential building. The facade and roof there were destroyed, and part of the building was burned. A civilian was injured. He suffered a concussion, blast injury, and a closed head trauma. Evacuation of residents from the Korabel neighborhood in Kherson is ongoing. Due to regular strikes by the Russian army on the only road bridge connecting the island to the city, civilians risk being completely cut off. Our next report covers the situation in this neighborhood.
Korabel was one of the most beautiful districts of Kherson before Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine. It's called an island because it's surrounded on all sides by the Dnipro and Kashiva rivers. Now, the landscape here looks like something out of a disaster movie. Every day, the island is under attack from Russian artillery, mortars, and FPV drones.
It flies. Yeah, a gun with artillery. It flew quickly into the entrance.
In August of this year, Russian aviation carried out several strikes on the only car bridge over the Kashiva River. It's this bridge that connects the Korabel neighborhood with the rest of Kherson. The damage still allows passenger cars to pass, but if the shelling continues, the Korabel neighborhood risks being completely cut off from the city. There are still more than 200 civilians remaining on the island.
I have 7 cats, dogs, and a cat. He's 15, so where would you go with him? He's lived at home since birth. Gas is gone, but we have electricity, thank God. At least I can put a hot plate and cook some soup before we cook.
Water is supplied to the island on a schedule from 9 to 11 in the morning. But even under these conditions, the residents don't give up.
Well, I'm here. It's actually beautiful right now. You have to hurry to fill up, water the plants, and wash up.
Lydia Nikolaevna is 82 years old. She doesn't want to leave the island yet. Even though there isn't a single working pharmacy left in the area, this coming heating season, Korabel will once again go without heat.
We used to heat bricks on the gas stove. The windows would sweat, the ceilings would sweat, the wallpaper would peel off. And now there's no gas. So, we'll try if there's electricity. It'll be warm, like with a heater, some kind of heater. I'll argue with you. Your house here is so damaged. This is precisely where it hit, and LT. Break time equals 0.5s/NGT. Sajarov's shell landed here from that direction. We can't even wash up.
While I was eating, yeah, the bright ones, they hit hard, really close. He, you see, ran when the shell hit. I ran so fast I fell down. I hit my head on the curb. Yeah, it exploded right nearby. I tried to take cover from the blast. Yeah. I just barely hit the corner.
Anatoly works at the parking lot and as a janitor, keeping order in his yard. He says right now there's no way to take the trash off the island. He tries to dispose of it himself.
Here's my mom, the chairwoman, the head of the neighborhood watch. Over there, I kind of see some flowers. We keep an eye on the house, on the perimeter. One kiosk is open, you know, just water. That kind of thing, bread.
Most of the neighborhood streets are deserted. Everywhere you look, windows are boarded up with plywood and power lines are torn down. These are the consequences of shelling by the Russian army. Among the ruined houses, we meet the only passerby.
There's a big drone lying by the river.
Are you going fishing or coming back from fishing?
Coming back from fishing.
What did you catch?
Some bream. Enough to fry up something.
And where did you fish?
I'm not telling. That's a military secret.
Despite the constant shelling of Korabiva, the people who remain here keep adapting to the new reality. Among them is Valentina, who also refuses to leave her home. She says she can't abandon the animals she rescued.
I've got a small gas canister and a little stove like that. I boil water in the kettle, throw all the vegetables and food into a pot, pour in the boiling water, put it on the gas, and cook whatever I need to eat. And that's it. And just dragging things out. Like pulling a cat by the tail. We're surviving. What else can we do?
Before the announced evacuation, about 1,800 people lived on the island. Local authorities are urging everyone who is still there to leave as soon as possible. Volunteers are helping with this. Daria Litvchenko for Freedom TV Channel.
In Denmark, for the second time in a week, drones have violated the country's airspace. Because of unidentified drones in the sky, operations at Aalborg Airport were halted. According to local police, it is used as a military base. In addition, UAVs surrounded 3 more airports nearby. It is known that Danish F-16 and F-35 fighter jets are based at one of them. Police stated that the owners of the drones are still unknown, but the incident is very similar to the one that happened earlier this week, when unidentified drones disrupted operations at Copenhagen Airport. The repeated appearance of drones over Danish territory is a hybrid attack, according to the country's Ministry of Defense. The drones were flying specifically over military facilities, which is why this is a matter of national security, said the Danish Minister of Defense at an emergency briefing convened because of the incident.
Sabotage, cyber attacks, and other forms of hybrid attacks have become a routine part of European reality. Their goal is to test the strength of borders and to sow fear and uncertainty among the population and leadership. We also have to acknowledge that the threat of hybrid attacks is not going anywhere, and it is growing rapidly. That's why we will purchase new detection devices and strengthen cooperation with research organizations to enhance our ability to neutralize drones.
Another round of drone provocations in European skies did not come as a surprise. This is how German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius responded to the drones over Danish airports. He noted that UAVs have repeatedly violated the airspace of European countries over the past few weeks, thereby exposing Europe's vulnerability and highlighting the difficulties governments face in combating drones.
Vladimir Putin's strategy.
It's clear that this is part of Putin's strategy. This is part of what we face every day. We're not at war, but we're not in a state of complete peace either. We're being attacked using hybrid methods of disinformation. And now there are drones as well. This is our reality.
Turkey has sent a long-range radar surveillance aircraft to Lithuania. This was announced by the Turkish Ministry of Defense. Such reconnaissance planes are capable of detecting low-flying drones and other objects that ground-based radars can't see. NATO has decided to strengthen its defenses on Europe's eastern flank in response to repeated violations of alliance airspace by Russian drones and fighter jets. specifically Lithuania, Estonia, Denmark, and Poland.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.